Welcome to another tutorial of Proflan YouTube channel. In this particular video, we're going to have a look at how to solve common topics which are tested in Igcse Edexcel. So we're going to start with one of the questions from the topic of ratios, and we are told that Alville bakes a cake. She uses flour, butter, and sugar such that the weight of flour to the weight of butter is 6:5. And the weight of butter to the weight of sugar is 3:2. Alville uses 120 grams of sugar, and then we are supposed to work out the weight of flour Alville uses. Now, in order to work out this question, something that we need to appreciate here, or something that we need to do in order to understand how to work out this question, is that we're going to write the ratio flour ratio butter, right? The second component we have is also butter to sugar. So we are going to say butter again to sugar. The first ratio is 6:5, followed by the second ratio is 3:2. So at this given point, what we are going to do is that we are going to group these two together, and then we are trying to ensure that butter is the same. Now, in order to make this to be the same, what we're going to do, we're going to set this part here. We're going to set this part here to be 3, and this other part, and I'm multiplying by 3 because of these 3 that we have here, because we want to make b values be the same. So this 5 will be multiplied in the second bracket there, and 3 multiplied here. So we're going to have flour is to butter is to butter is to sugar. So which means that this is going to become what? This is going to be 18 ratio 15 ratio 15 ratio 10. Now you can see we have be the same, so you can therefore say flour ratio butter ratio sugar is actually 18:15:10. But something else that we are told here is that Alville uses 120 grams of sugar. So meaning that 10 is equals to 120 grams. What about 43 is going to be equivalent to what? So because if I add here, to get ratio, and actually the total ratio in this case is going to be 18 plus 15 plus 10. So meaning that total ratio is actually 43. So meaning that's why I'm asking that. So we are going to do cross multiplication. So at that point we're going to have 43 times 120 grams divide by 10, and that translates to what? If you work that using your calculator, you are going to get your answer there to be 516. This is 516 grams. So the total grams are being used for this particular production of a cake is 516. So, but in this question we are asked, work out the weight of flour Alville uses. Flour is actually 18. So, yeah, you can see flour is 18. So we're going to say, in order to work out the mass for flour is 18 over 43 times 516. If we can put in our calculator, this is going to be 18 over 43 times 516, translate to 216. This is 216. So if you work out this, it's actually equivalent to 216. So 216 grams. That is the mass that are very used for this production of the cake, especially um, in flour. So we need to also move further and try to look at the next topic. And the next topic now, let me just move on so that we part. The next part is functions. You may be given in your exams to come, you may be given a question to functions, and you are expected, for instance, there to state in which part, which value of x should be excluded, that should not be included in that domain of x. Now, in that case, when you have fractions, the moment you have fractions, the part that should not be included is a part that results to a negative result to 0 at the denominator. If you have a situation whereby you have 0 at the denominator, that value should be excluded because the function will become undefined. But if you have a square root in a function that you are told to check which value that has no solution or should be excluded, is a value that results to a negative number when you have a square root. But if you have a fraction, for instance here, we are told state which value of x cannot be included in the domain of g. G is a function given here, and g is actually given as 5 over 2x minus 9. So we need a value that should be excluded is a value that results to 0 at the denominator, because if you put in your calculator 5 over 0, that will be math error. So we're going to say 2x minus 9 is equals to 0 is the value of x that should be excluded. So we shall take 9 on the other side. We shall have 2x equals to 9. Divide by 2, divide by 2. Our x becomes what? Our x becomes 4.5. So for part A, 4.5 should be excluded. The next part is to find. In part B, we are supposed to find f, find f g of 4, f g of 4. So meaning whenever you are given this kind of question, the first thing to do is to work out g of 4 first. Our g is this, so g of 4 is going to be 5 over 2 times 4, then minus 9, which is going to be negative. Actually, is going to be 5 over 8 minus 9, which is going to be 5 over negative 1, which is negative 5. That is actually g of 4. Then we need to substitute this because our g of 4 is the whole of this function here is the one that is now negative 5. So we need now to find what is the value, actually what's the value of what? We need to find now, because this function here can be replaced with negative 5. Now the next part that we are going to do is to work out f of negative 5, because g of 4 is negative 5. Now the function f is 5x plus 7. So 5x, our x is negative 5 plus 7. This becomes what? Negative 25 plus 7. So the final answer becomes negative 18. The final answer at that particular point is negative 18. Now, you need to know how to work out. This is actually composite functions. So those are some of the areas that you need really to prepare on in order to prepare for your exams and ensure that you're going to get a good grade. So the next area that we are going to look at is how to find inverse of a quadratic function. So we're going to follow step by step and see what you're supposed to do whenever you are given that. And we are told here that the function h is such that h of x, h such that x is mapped to 3x squared minus 12x plus 8, where x is greater than 2, express the inverse function in the form that is given. So in this part here, now we have h such that x is mapped to 3x squared minus 12x plus 8. So the first step, whenever you are trying to find the inverse of a function, the first thing is to change this part to y. So we shall have y equals to 3x squared minus 12x plus 8, like that. So once you have that, then next is switch. We are going to say switch x and y. So meaning where you have y, you write x, and where you have x, you write y. So that's going to be x equals to 3y, we write properly, 3y squared minus 12y plus 8. The next step is actually to make y the subject of the formula. Make y subject. Now we can start by writing 3y squared minus 12y plus 8 equals to x. So at this point, there's no way, because this is a quadratic equation, where there is no way you can be able to make y the subject other than just completing the square. So I'll have to write y squared minus 12y is equals to x minus 8. I've just taken this value on this other side. So in the process of completing the square, so that I can be able to make y the subject, I'm going to have 3y squared minus 12y is equals to x minus 8, right? So I'm going to factor out 3. So we shall remain with y squared minus 4y equals to 3 minus, note that, equals to x minus 8. Then I'm going to complete the square of this. So we shall have 3 into bracket y minus a half of this is going to be 2. Then I'll say squared, then minus the square of this number, so that this is the steps of completing the square. So if you want to complete the square of this, you will take the first part that is having y squared, you just take y. The second part, since it's having just y, you're going to take a half of this number that we have here, it will be 2. Then you will square that part. Because if you're going to expand this, you're going to get y squared minus 4y if you square this part, but you're going to have an extra of this squared outside. So that's why we're subtracting the square of this number here. Then we say this is x minus 8 at that given point. So we shall have 3 into y minus 2 squared, but squaring this, and remember there's this bracket, squaring this becomes 4. 4 times 3 becomes minus 12 equals to x minus 8. All right. So now this becomes 3 into y minus 2 squared equals to x plus 4, then over 3 over 3. This will cancel out. We remain with y minus 2 squared equals to x plus 4 over 3. We can now find square root and find square root both sides. And when you find a square root of a number, remember it becomes what? It becomes plus or minus. So we shall have y minus 2 equals to plus or minus root x plus 4 over 3. All right, so you can see we are actually running out of space. So let me try to move this part that we are having here so that we can be able to use this space that is. So if so I'm trying to adjust something. Okay, if I take this part, let me try to make use of this space. So if I take this part, I'm having y is equals to 2. I'll take this 2 on the other side, plus or minus square root of x plus 4 over 3. We were told that x is greater than 2. That was the domain of the function. According to this part here, x is greater than 2. So it means now the range is going to be y is greater than 2 always. If you were given 3, you were to say that the range is 3. Yeah. So therefore, this function we're going to take positive value so that you shall have values more than 2 if you take the positive value. So this is going to be y equals to 2 plus square root of x plus 4 over 3. So if we are to write it in the form that was required, h inverse, like that, then we were to say this is going to be h inverse such that x is being mapped to 2 plus square root of x plus 4 over 3. Now, this is the answer that we were expected to get at this particular point. So having done that and having looked at that, we need now to move to something else so that we can see which other topic are you also supposed to prepare. So also, if you are new to Proflan YouTube channel, consider subscribing so that in time I'm going to, if you are new to Proflan YouTube channel, consider subscribing so that in time I'm going to upload another tutorial, you'll be notified. Right, so see. Right, another area that we need to look at is whereby that we are told that the mean of the number of goals scored by a hockey team in 8 matches is 6. The mean scored by a hockey team in 8 matches is 6. The team plays 2 more matches and scores k goals in each match. The mean for the number of the goals scored by the hockey team in the 10 matches is 7. So in order to work out this question, because we are supposed to find the value of k, we're going to say number, we're going to say the number of goals, number of goals scored in 8 matches. Because that we are told the mean of the number of goals scored, the mean is actually 6 for these 8 matches. So how many goals were scored in the 8 matches? So we are going to say that's going to be equal to 8 times 6, which translates to 48. Then we are told that now the team again played for 2 more matches, so the total number of matches becomes 10. But the mean for the 10 matches is actually 7. So we're going to say number of goals scored in 10 matches is going to be equal to 10 times 7, which becomes 70. Now the question is, what's the difference because if 8 matches, 48, 10 matches, 70, then what is the total number of goals scored in the 2 matches that were played? So we have to say total number of goals scored in the 2 matches is going to be 70 minus 48, and that's going to translate to what? That's going to translate to actually, if we subtract, we are going to get 22. But we were told that each match of the 2, each match scored K goals. So K, therefore, K is going to be 22 divided by 2, and that becomes 11. So this question is going to appear in different ways. It may be asked that a student does a given number of tests. In the maybe if you are told a student did 6 tests, you are given a mean score for the 6 tests. So again, the student sits for another extra 3 tests or 2 tests, depending on the way the question is asked. And also you are given the mean. And then you are asked, find the marks scored in the next tests. So depending the way the question is asked, you'll be in a position to answer depending whether you've understood this. This one, we were given 8 matches, the mean was 6. So to get the total number of goals is 48. 6 times 8. So when they played 2 more matches, the total matches became 10. So if their mean was 7, then the total goals scored was 10 times 7, which is 70. So the number of goals scored in the 2 matches will be 70 minus 48. You get 22. But you are told in the 2 matches, each match, the team scored K goals. Then what's going to be the value of K? See that? So more is yet to be uploaded. If you have not subscribed, subscribe. Also leave a comment down below if you've gotten value from this particular video. See you in the next video.